The first thing that's coming to mind is just a saying that I go to regularly: when you know better, you do better.
When you know better, you do better.
Maya Angelou. I love that. You can't unknow something, and so that's business wise. Of course, I probably have some personal ones or family ones, but just to sum up work life and just some legacy is, and I'm going to always try to find out what the better way is.
Welcome to the Break Free Podcast. I am your host, David Mansilla. Today we have with us Michele Veillon. Michele, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. I'm just absolutely thrilled to be here, David. I appreciate you giving me this opportunity to sit and speak with you today.
Oh, thank you so much. The pleasure is mine. It's been such a long time, and we had this like this set for months and months. I'm like, when are we going to do this recording? So finally, we're here. So it's a blessing for sure.
Sounds good. I'm ready.
Michele, for the audience, can you give me your full name? Where do you live, and what do you do for a living?
My full name is Michele Veillon, and I live in Louisiana in a small town called Rain, Louisiana. Uh, Known for a couple of things. Probably the most popular is that it's the frog capital of the world. I meet people from all over the United States. I used to say I lived in the Lafayette area, but so many people knew Rain, so I proudly proclaim I live in Rain. And I'm the CEO and co-owner of Senior Helpers, which is a non-medical home care agency.
Non-medical care agency.
Non-medical home
So
care.
can you explain that a bit more?
Yes, it is caregiving in the safety of your own home. So as we age, or maybe face, a life change physically, maybe a mental health, some people need some companionship or some support, maybe with groceries or transportation, medication reminders. They're not at a point where they maybe need to leave their home and move into an assisted living or a nursing home. And so what we do is we come in, we assess, and we work with the client, find out what their goals are, what matters most to them in life, because they're still capable of being productive and living a very full life at any age. And once we determine exactly what their needs are, we develop a care plan and we fit a caregiver to their needs. So it may be as simple as, you know what? My mom's lonely. Her husband is deceased. Her dad died, maybe someone's died. And we need someone to come in and visit with mom, bring her to her bridge club, bring her to eat lunch a couple times a week. We go so far as CNAs who go into the home, and we have some of our clients who are pretty much confined to a bed and who need almost complete assistance. We can use a lift in the home to assist with bathing and dressing and support with eating and other things. So we it runs the gamut of helping people to remain home as long as it's safe and as long as it makes sense for the client.
And my one of my best friend's mom passed away. She was 91 years old, I believe. She passed away a few months ago, and she passed away in her home. And it was thanks to similar service that she was able to do it. I mean,
Yeah.
I think she had the dementia still,
Yes.
but she could still cook. She could still, take care of herself, but she needed assistance. So thank you for that, because I think um, if I think of my dad, for example, he passed away when he was 82 years old. He was living on an apartment building on a third floor. The apartment building was pretty old, so it had no elevators,
Oh, wow.
and he was diagnosed with pulmonary fibrosis. So
Mhm.
he was losing his oxygen levels slowly. And I told him, Dad, I can get you a house, or I'll rent you a bungalow, or I'll buy you a house even. Just move out. And he said, No, I want to die in my house.
Sure.
And I tried and I tried, and I couldn't get him out of the house. And sure enough, finally I was able to convince him to have those panic buttons. So I buy him the panic button on a Thursday. On a Saturday, he pushed the button and he passed away on a Sunday.
Oh, wow. But at
And
least you were able to respond and tend to him, yes.
but it's incredible because the week before he was still going down the stairs still, and then the week after he had to call the firemen and they had to bring him down in a wheelchair. He had the three flights of stairs, but he died in his home, right?
He did, and I think that brings up a really good point. Despite a person's, mental health, whether it be dementia or specifically Alzheimer's, or whether we're, 90, 99. At what point, say if you live to be 99, would you wanna say, "Okay, kids," tell my children, "You make the decisions for me. I don't wanna decide." So, I think it's important that we recognize that because people are aging and their body may be frail and they may not be as quick, their wit may not be as quick, or it may take a little time to, you know, say what they wanna say, that they still have decisions they wanna make independently, and they still have choices they wanna make every day, and I think to be able to honor that is so important because when it gets to be our turn, I guarantee you we're gonna feel the same way. I'm never gonna think, "Okay, I'm just gonna give it all up to my kids and let them make every decision for me of what's best for me," because I know what's best for me.
Mhm.
Unless, of course, we're talking about, a dangerous situation where the client is at risk of hurting themselves or, a fall or, something even more severe.
This podcast is brought to you by ISU Corp. Are you having trouble with your software projects? Is there a project that's taking too long or a technology you can't handle? We can help. We are ISU Corp, experts in custom software since 2005. With almost 20 years of experience, we can solve any technical problem from new businesses to satellite software. We've done it all. Let us turn your ideas into reality. Learn more about how we can help by visiting us at www.isucorp.ca. Your solution starts here.
No, for sure. And in his last days, like for the last 2, 3 months, his gas tanks were delivered to him. He had an assistant, like a nurse, assisting him. Uh, he was provided for, so he could actually die in dignity because he wanted to own his home, right?
Wonderful. Yes.
How long have you been doing this?
Well, I'm actually a social worker, so I've been in the healthcare industry for, a little over 30 years. I've been in long-term care for about 20 years, which is nursing homes and assisted living. And then I've only been in the home care, industry about 2 years now.
So, Michelle, to from a social worker to running a company, whether it's for profit or not, is a big difference. So let's go back in time and tell me how you got to where you are, because this is fascinating. This is why I love this podcast, because every people's path to success is very different. So let's fly back in time. What was your hopes and dreams when you were in your last year in high school?
Oh gosh. A photojournalist in, some, um, third world country, telling stories. I really dreamed of that, and, I love to write, and I thought I can write people's stories, and give a voice to people. So I was always, interested in what people had to say and how they felt and always tried to understand their point of view. I think being an oldest child, being a woman or a girl at the time, we are tend to lean toward being caregivers and caretakers, you know, not asking for judgment on that. It's just a statement. And I think, once I looked into that, it's like, is that reasonable? Do I really want to, move away? Do I want to travel that much? I would like a family. And ended up in a couple of careers in business and then, got accepted into graduate school for my MSW, the Masters of Social Work. And just decided I had been wanting to do that and then pursued it and then worked, in a variety of different positions for a number of years, and then stayed home for about 10 years to raise my 5 children.
You have 5 children?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yes.
So I want to make a pause there, Michelle, because I think we've been lying to the latest generation. Um, if you look at how many children people have nowadays, we're having less children that we need to sustain the population.
Yeah.
This is most of the Western world. I live in Canada, and it's even worse than the States. Um, and I think it's a lie. Like we have lied to our kids saying that you need so much money or you need so much to have a child. And you know, it's insane. I had my first kid. I mean, I was dating my current wife when we were high school sweethearts, and we got pregnant and we got married at 18.
Oh, wow.
And my daughter was born at 18, and I have three children. I had nothing, and the Lord provided. You know, my faith. I'm a born again Christian, and He always provided. And when I had my second kid, it wasn't that much different.
No.
So I had my first kid at 18, my second kid at 22, and my third kid at 20, my third kid at 26. And during those years where I had kids, I had nothing. But every year I was a little bit better.
Correct.
And now they are my crowns, like now they're all grown up, they are successful, they have their own families. You have five kids.
Yeah.
And now for example, I see my younger daughter, she also have a kid. Yeah, I'm asking her, like, what's going on with you? Like, you're 26. Hurry up, I want grandkids.
I understand that. Mine are at that age, but I don't have any grandkids yet. Um, so, staying home was extremely difficult, and we really did not probably have the money for me to stay home, but it was important and had an opportunity, and we cut back and we did a lot of, family things, and it's something that I would never, replace with, "Oh, you can have money, but you can't stay home," one or the other. So it was a great time with my kids, and as well as it goes by in a blink. It literally I try to recapture those memories in my mind occasionally, and I can't reach them, and I can't hold on to them. It's like they're kinda there, what did it feel like to hold one of my children? You just can't I can't remember, it's been too long.
I
So,
know.
yeah.
But now you have the blessing because you did the sacrifice. And I think all things in life requires a sacrifice. So I hope like some younger generations are listening to this, because honestly, you're making a disservice of yourself because society is telling you that you shouldn't have kids. That is irresponsible. Nonsense. We're here to multiply, right?
Yeah, well, for sure, definitely. Well, we did it I will say we did it a little non-traditional. I was 27 when I got married, and I was 31 before I had my first child, and 41 when I had my last child.
That's amazing.
Yes, we were older parents, and I had already finished college and had worked a while. So we did the traveling, we did the playing. One of the funniest things is my father-in-law used to tell us all the time we were dancing faster than the music. And so we played and had fun our first 4 years of marriage, and then got serious, had children, he built his career. I stayed home, and then later when I went back, um I just thought, "Oh, some Christmas money," and then it started a 20-year career for me, and, I'm actually with the same company. We actually purchased Senior Helpers. So, I approached my boss about 2 actually almost 3 years ago with this opportunity to buy this franchise, and, so I kinda coined myself the accidental CEO. He listened and he's like, "That's a great idea. I think it's a wonderful fit for what we do, but we can't have this conversation any longer unless we decide who's gonna run it." And I mean, there I was, like, totally clueless as to where this was going. So I am the accidental CEO. He said, "Why don't you do it? I think you need to do it." So here we are.
Isn't that beautiful? And so if I understood correctly, having your children actually opened up the opportunity for you to become a CEO of a business.
Pretty much, pretty much, because I wanted some Christmas money.
You see, so that's actually it's proving my point, right? Like kids nowadays, they think that they have a child and it's going to be slavery for life. No, like I said, look at my story, my wife's story, your story. I have many friends with the same stories. Yeah, we had a hard time for about 10 years too,
Mm.
where we could only go to Wendy's for a special meal once a month. And when we went to Wendy's, I told them don't ask for any soft drinks, only water.
That was our rule too. We would go and eat somewhere, say you cannot drink anything but water. That saved about 10 to 12 bucks.
And it's so beautiful because I have two grandkids. They are one is 14 and the other one is 11. And we just went on a little vacation last week with them. And I took them out, we took them out for dinner and they didn't ask for any soft drinks either. We're like, why are you asking for that? And this is like, oh, my mom never let us. My mom never let us.
Wow. That's a nice pat on the back for you.
Is this so? Yeah, the tradition continues, right?
I love it. Awesome.
So how do you tap into this then? So you were looking for a little extra Christmas money. You were staying home mom, and what happened? Like,
Someone was on maternity leave and they were looking for a social worker in a nursing home. And I'm like, I'm a social worker. I can do that for 3 months.
uh-huh.
I had no plan. I was hired on the phone. They did not even interview me.
Wow.
And then I'm like, what am I? Wait, I don't have a babysitter. I had a 2-year-old. I'm like, wait, this, I don't know how this is going to work. But talked to my husband. We figured it out. I worked with a nursing home company for a year, and then I was offered the opportunity to go with Elder Outreach, which is the company I've been with now over 18 years. And then, like I said, 2 years ago, they purchased Senior Helpers, and I have a percentage of it.
That's beautiful. Now, Michelle, did it matter that you stopped working for 10 years
To
for
who?
your career?
To who? To my career?
Yeah, to your career.
No.
Because you were hired on the spot, on the phone
Phone, yeah.
after 10 years of staying at home, right?
My dad was upset. He felt like I was wasting my degree. But it never bothered me. I loved staying home with my kids. I'm a big crafter. And so while some moms, God bless them, are on the floor playing games, I do not like to play board games. Or we would read some, but I liked to pull out the paint and we paint things and we glue things and we'd go to festivals. And so I didn't feel like I was missing anything. I felt like I was giving them an education. We were having experiences. And, no, it was never my intention, um, to, be the leader of any organization, but I think if I'm completely honest, I think the majority of us who have bosses see decisions being made occasionally and just, think, "Well, if I were in charge,
Yeah.
this is what I would do." Moments, not thinking it would ever come to fruition, but here I am. And so I'm very well aware of that part of it. Never having managed actually not even a single employee. I collaborated and worked with with different people at different levels, but they were never in my charge. I was never responsible for determining, their futures and their job descriptions and such. So it's a huge responsibility. I take it very seriously. Um, I didn't sleep much probably the first year at all.
On
I
your mind.
worried, I stressed. It was a huge change. And this year's been, better as far as sleep goes. It's still it's a huge responsibility, and I feel honored. Um, and I do believe that everything happens, of course, it's kind of written. And as you said, picking up that phone and calling to work led me on a path. And I didn't know what it was at the time, but I just trusted that journey and that path. And I love working with seniors. And we work with a lot of veterans, which if I could, I would have 100%, veteran clients. Nothing against my other clients, of course, but my grandfather was a World War II veteran. My dad's was a Marine. My brother's a Marine. So I just have a very soft place in my heart for them.
Isn't that amazing? Now you have the privilege of running a company that is servicing them. Isn't that beautiful?
Yes, it is.
What an honor, right?
Yes. It's one.
So the transition was hard. What has been the hardest thing you have ever had to do as the CEO of this business?
Well, I think, for me personally, I think what kept me up many times was just the financial part of it. Because being a social worker, I'm touchy-feely, so to speak, and a lot of gray areas and intuition, gut, what is my gut telling me, where's this leading me? They're looking for the signs, and I'm a Christian as well, a Catholic. Um, Prayers, looking for intervention and um so not being able to numbers just sit there and wait for you to manipulate them and, thought them and so it's been a struggle, but I tackled it the way that I think, most people do with anything that they don't understand. I just kinda dove into it, and I was very transparent with many people and would call the accountant and say, "I have absolutely no idea what this means. Can you explain it to me? I am so new to this. I've never seen this." And then, started some education on my own and feeling more and more comfortable about it because, no one wants to feel uncomfortable.
Of course.
Especially all the time, or, and it wasn't so much that I was embarrassed or felt intimidated, by that part of the role. It was I was frustrated because it's such a huge part of the role, and I was just disappointed I couldn't jump right in and get it, I just felt like, "Gosh, I should be able to get this."
But being in your role, like you just said, when you call your accountant, what you do is you find the people that understand it, and so they can actually explain it to you, and so that you can take the right decisions. That's the role of a leader, and that's exactly what you're doing, and that's why you're being so successful, right?
Well, I'm smart enough to know that I need to surround myself with people that are smarter than me.
But you know, Michelle, that what you just said is the secret of any successful leader, and unfortunately, people like me had to learn the hard way because I went to school for computer science, and my grandfather was a chartered accountant. My father had accounting degrees too, so they told me, make sure you get as much accounting as you can. So I got like 7 accounting courses. So I had a minor in accounting when I graduated, and then I had 10 years experience in the field. So when I opened my business, I'm like, I'm the best. Nobody's better than me. Blah blah blah. I almost went bankrupt many times until I finally realized that it was my own problem because I thought I was the best.
Oh, wow.
Once I humbled myself and I said, Lord, forgive me. I'm going to start finding people that knows how to do this better than me. And I started getting successful. You see?
Yes, I understand. Well, I think we get like that with things that we think we know. And when I'm comfortable with something, I do have a lot more confidence,
Yeah.
and it is a good feeling to be in. But I think other things happening that were difficult probably, my first year going into this second year is making changes. Everybody, what do they say? Everybody loves progress, but no one likes change.
Mhm.
And that's tough because, the status quo, well, it's not hurting anyone, so looking at processes and making some tough changes. We have a small office, have a big workforce that's out in clients' homes, but we have a small office. And so just having to rearrange and, make sense of, how we're going to operate and how we're going to function and, moving us to a certain level that we need to be. It's not about my goals. I don't own the company, lock, stock, and barrel. I have to answer to a board. And so, those are tough decisions to make sometimes.
And, and but they're necessary, right? Otherwise, they wouldn't have trusted you to put you on the top level that you are because you're in charge of growing the business, providing better care for your clients, so that the competition doesn't eat you alive, right?
Yes. And that's what keeps me going is just to provide the best care that we can and just to fix it no matter what. I mean, that's just my motto here. I'm like, I'll back you. Promise things within reason, of course, but just, fix it. Make people happy and get them to trust us again because we want to do the right thing. You can't be in healthcare successfully without wanting to do the right thing for people, and especially, any population of people who are vulnerable, and who depend on you. I mean, we have some clients who live alone,
Mhm.
and we may be the contact, the primary contact even, and we may be the only one they see during the week. So
Right.
that is a huge responsibility, and we take it very seriously, and so does the team here, which is so beautiful. It's fantastic to see them come together and, work on a situation. Um, a client's home is maybe in disrepair or needs cleaning. I had someone come to me the other day, "Can we pay the caregiver a little extra to stay a little longer to clean the home so that it's better for everyone?" It's like, "Yes, wow, awesome, I love that idea."
Mhm.
Simple solution and everyone's more comfortable and the client is thrilled and feels seen and heard.
It's beautiful, Michelle, and it requires vocation. And for me, vocation is nothing else that finding out what God made you to be, right?
Yes,
And you found that very early in life. You thought you wanted to go travel the world and take pictures and write blogs. Turns out that the Lord had something different in mind. And I want to talk about that gut feeling, that intuition that you were talking about, because if if you believe in God, right, like you and I do, and you know that you're here on earth for a purpose, the whole idea is to find that purpose. And once you find it, maximize your impact. Because of you, a lot of people are having a better end of their life. And like I said, from a personal experience, that's so valuable,
yes.
right? Grandma, so my grandma passed away in the 90s, and my little sister had to take care of her. But my little sister was going to university and she was just figuring out her life. There wasn't such an organization like yours back then, back home, and she had a tough time. It wasn't nice for her. Her last 2 years were horrible. After having a beautiful life of service, she alone had 4 kids. One of them were my dad, and multiple grandkids, and it's sad, right? But now you're fixing that problem. What a blessing! And your staff loves what they do too. Like, there is nothing worse to have an employee that all they want is the paycheck. For
Right.
me, that's the worst thing you can get.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. But you feel that, it feels different. And I mean, I feel like it's a blessing to work in an industry where feelings, thoughts, our emotions, we base a lot of our decisions on the client's feelings. If we were in an accounting business, I could not base my decisions on businessman's feelings. So it's incredible we can meet all of their physical needs because we have skilled caregivers. But if I were to interview a couple of the clients or a number of them, the majority today, I could pick up the phone and probably call 3 or 4, will say, "Oh, yeah, she's good, and she helps me, in the car, and she helps me to, prepare my food, but she asks me questions, she talks to me, she's respectful of me, she helps me call my grandchildren on the phone." Those are, kind of the intangibles that it's a caregiver giving of themselves. And so that's the magic of this job is yes, we can do all of these what's considered non-clinical because we're not nurses,
Mhm.
but it's some, it's duties in the home, what we call activities of daily living. And we're helping them get ready for their day and do those things we all have to do. We have to eat and brush our teeth, take our medicine. But this other side, the companionship and the socialization and the friendship, that's the beauty of the job. I mean, that is the kinda like the icing on the cake.
And I must say one thing. We're very close to have humanoid robots to be home appliances and act like humans. But I know for a fact that doesn't matter how high our technology gets and how closer they look to humans, they will never be able to replace the human feelings, the human heart, that warmth.
Yes.
Like, and I don't even think they can replace a dog, by the way, right?
They try with a lot of little mechanical, yeah, it even though a human being's creating it, it's you can't translate that. You just you gotta be in the moment, and you have to meet people where they are, and it's gonna be different for everyone. So you can't really create something that can understand all of these different nuances of a human being. And, even the same person may have a good day and then a tough day and then a grieving day. And, I mean, there's just so much that goes on. And I feel like that is one of our goals is to, to really be there for them and, kind of like, adopt their lifestyle into ours and to be able to kind of see what they need and change as we go. And nothing stays the same, as we age and as we, get older, our needs are, sometimes changing rapidly. And so to be able to respond to that and to hear our caregivers out, I mean, I hope and we promote, call in and share what's going on with your client so we can adjust the care needs of what we're doing for them. Let's all be care partners in this, so that this individual can stay home as long as they want. And I think we're all very proud that we are helping people to stay home as long as possible and age in place. I've done this probably 100 times, a room full of people. And look, I love nursing homes. I've been working for them for many years. There's a time and a place for a nursing home. But when you ask a group of people in a room, when that day comes and you can no longer do for yourself, how many of you wanna go to a nursing home? Raise your hand. And
Yeah.
I've never had a person raise their hand. I think
Mhm.
out of obligation, some people will do that because they don't wanna be a burden to their children, but it's like, what do you want? And
Mhm.
everyone's ideal is aging at home, just like you said about your father. I
Yeah.
wanna die at home, not
Yeah,
at home.
who knows? Seriously. You know, another friend of ours, he was our neighbor for 10 years. Then we move out, but we kept in touch with him, and we go visit him once in a while. He's in his 90s, perfectly healthy. He will never move away from his home.
Yeah.
He loves where he is, and you know, he, last time we went to see him, he was like, "How do you like Murray is his name? Murray, how do you keep yourself entertained?" And he picks up his big thick Bible. And he's like, "I read the scriptures and I watch the news." He's happy,
Very simple, and it's his choices, yeah. Not for everyone, but it's his choices, yeah.
right.
Love that.
What's in the future for you, Michelle?
The future. I want to continue to do this and I do want to grow it into all of the into the vision and the goals that we have for this company. We actually are doing a little in-house conference these last 2 days. So I took a little break and really hone in on what it is that the office, who are a lot of caregivers that have been promoted into either management or um, like an HR role or client services, really big, important roles. And, what do they want? We are trying to figure out what does our tagline for our company, Senior Helpers, is senior care only better. What does that look like? And what does better mean? Better than what? And how better? And so I could walk away today and feel good about what I did. And I don't need to build an empire to feel good about myself, but I definitely want to continue to do this work and figure out what are the things that we're not quite getting right. And with the baby boomers coming, and they are coming, there's quite a few coming that are gonna be, and boy, are they gonna wanna stay home, and they already know what they want. They want things that my grandparents didn't want. And I'm even kinda talking about, my mom. They traveled, they ate out, they're educated, they use technology. those sort of things. So I'm excited about that interaction, what that's going to look like with a caregiver. So that's, I think it will be more care partnership than caregiving. I see that,
Right.
where they're actually sitting with us doing their care plan. Yeah,
That's exciting, Isn't it exciting?
it is. It really is. I think they're going to teach us a lot about what we think we already know.
My dad was a baby boomer, and
Yeah.
he had tablets, big screen TVs, huge sound systems, and he was so much into tech and always changing, moving, taking care of his own life. It's a pleasure. He
Yeah.
actually told me, "You never stop learning." He retired at 72,
Oh, wow. Yeah.
and he was forced to retire. He was working for NCR, and he said, "We will never. The last thing you learn how to do is how to die." And when he was diagnosed with this terminal illness, they gave him 6 months. He lived 2 years. But those 6 months, instead of getting depressed, you know what he started doing? He started designing his stone, where he wanted to be buried, how what the memorial would look like. Like every time I went to see him for 6 months, he will tell me about these stones like that. But he was excited. He's telling me, "This is my last project. Let me enjoy it." I'm like, "You are crazy. Nobody talks about these things."
I don't, yeah, I think a lot of us think we won't be ready. And I think it just depends. Some people are ready. My dad just passed away a couple months ago at 83, and he was not ready. And he would not have been picking out his stuff. He was picking out a place to live and investments, and he was still working. He was still selling cars. And so I think all of these great experiences with our parents have taught us about aging. And it just goes to show just two of us in, completely different scenarios. And so it's not a one size fits all care. You have to customize it and personalize it. So we have over 100 clients. And so we have to look at each one as an individual, not just, oh, let's put them in this group because they're an 80-year-old, white woman. You just can't do that. That doesn't exist. Every 80-year-old woman's different. So, but yeah, it's teaching as you're around seniors or your elders, whatever you want to call them. And as I get older, I mean, I'm fighting for that voice for aging to be able to continue to say, this is what I want. And I'm not irrelevant. And my opinion is not irrelevant because you think it's irrelevant. It's not, life is not just for the young.
Mhm.
Um, so that's still, like I said, that's the goal, is to bring that voice into the care that we're providing. And so we're trying to figure out ways to do that. We brought some of our clients here for client socials, and trying to get them together because they're home, they don't know each other. We're
Mhm.
bringing different people together, and the more we expose ourselves to different people, the better it is for us, because they're the customer, so to speak, and they know best what they need or want.
That's beautiful. Michelle, if you had a time machine and you could go back 30 years in your life, what would you tell to your younger self?
I think for me, one of the main themes that I've continued to carry is about using my voice. I was a pretty shy, insecure, low self-esteem. Both my parents were only children, and I was the first grandchild. So I laugh. I can picture myself in the crib with six. I can't remember it, but with six adults looking at me. I imagine that happened. Um, and so I was sheltered, very sheltered. And so I didn't really have a voice for many, many, many years. My daughter's 31. Wow, she got a voice and I love it. I'm so proud of her. She takes up for herself. So I think, I would say it's so simple, but I would say, what are you afraid of?
Mhm.
What You have an opinion is just as important as other people's. You have done the work. Why not appreciate, everything that comes with that?
Mhm.
So I think, it took me a really long time to appreciate the opportunities I was given and to say it's a blessing, and I need to use these gifts, proudly instead of so quiet, so humbly, So, not too proud. I don't, but
Well, yeah, you're more bolder, right? Like,
I do. That's a good word, bolder. And I think a lot of women struggle with what I said. I know they call it sometimes they call it the imposter syndrome, all these things. And I don't think it's about that. It's just being a younger woman, I just having a voice and an opinion. And, sometimes women will face that. And I had a coworker and we would help each other and amplify each other's voice in the workplace, and it really helped. We promote each other, we push each other and back each other, and it really made a difference in each of our careers.
it's
I always
great.
recommend getting a gal buddy like that, a mentor, someone that pushes you and applauds you and challenges you and holds you up when you can't hold yourself up sometimes.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Beautiful. And look at yourself now, running a very important business and how much you have grown. Isn't it beautiful to look back and see how blessed you have been?
It has been a ride, and I'm extremely blessed, and like Dave Ramsey says, better than I deserve. I always I count my blessings daily.
That's beautiful. Um, Michelle, thank you so much for your time. Over 40 minutes have passed, and I know you're a busy executive. So I'll end the podcast with one last question. If you had access to a billboard in front of the busiest highway on earth, what would you write on it?
The first thing that's coming to mind is just a saying that I go to regularly: "When you know better, you do better."
When you know better, you do better.
Maya Angelou. I love that. You can't unknow something, and so that's business wise. Of course, I probably have, some personal ones or family ones, but just to sum up work life and just some legacy is, and I'm going to always try to find out what the better way is.
And that goes back to what my dad said, that you never stop learning, right? Like, I think what we run into trouble, any areas of our life, is when we stop learning. For me, was, for example, I never took care of my faith, right? I was never in the Bible. I never read the Bible by myself. I never tried to work on my spirituality until I started looking for other things that were not Christian. And I fell into different philosophies that didn't do any good to me. And then when I went back, I'm like, I was born Catholic. I love Jesus. I am a Christian. How come I haven't read the Bible? So that's why I have a Bible right there. You see?
Yep, I see it.
Because now that I've read it over 2 times, it's like, okay, the more I know, right, the better I do. Exactly what you're saying. So thank you for that.
Thank you, Maya.
Michelle, thank you so much. If people like to hire your services in the area, we will promote this podcast in your area.
Thank you.
Where can they go to find you?
To find me, they can go to seniorhelpers.com/LA/Lafayette, or just Senior Helpers and put in Lafayette, Louisiana. They can also, Google search us and, look for Senior Helpers. We have a national organization. We are international, actually. But I think we probably have about 350 or so agencies. Um, I think they're in Canada and Australia, but mostly in the United States. It's a wonderful organization. And we're doing senior care only better because we know better.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Michelle. God bless you. Have a beautiful
You. Appreciate you.
And all my blessings to you. God bless.
David. Take care. Bye-bye.
That's all for today's episode of the Break Free Podcast. Head on over to iTunes and subscribe to the show. Starting your own business can be tough, but it doesn't have to be. Visit davidmansilla.com to pick up a copy of the #1 international best-selling book, Breaking Out of Corporate Jail. Expand what you consider to be possible and reach your full potential. And join us on the next episode.